All right, welcome back to the Cold Open Podcast. It feels like it's been years, even though we've consistently had a video put out every single weekend.
Yes.
The recording schedule's been inconsistent, we'll say.
To put it lightly.
Yeah. So, we're uh, talking about some pretty heavy stuff today, so put up a warning up front. This is about Blizzard. Um, there's 0% of this that's good. There's nothing
No.
positive coming from this, save for the fact that maybe this company might die.
I was gonna say I was like devastated by why they're dying, but I was also happy they were dying.
Right.
I'm just not happy for the lawsuits.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, because there's a lot of folks in this company that just do their job, that just
Uh-huh.
work. 9 to 5 workers that they're wonderful animators, wonderful storyboard artists, directors, writers, blah blah blah. All these people that are on the front lines doing this job, typically for very little pay or, the typical fucking video game company thing where they'll once a job is done, they'll fire you, so you don't get your name on the credits and they don't have to pay you for it. Stuff like
Right.
that. But we're not talking about that particular brand of villainy today. Today, we're talking about all the terrible shit that Activision Blizzard, I suppose specifically Blizzard, although it's the same company at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, God, where do you even start? Genuinely, where do you start with this fucking terrible story?
I mean, I guess my biggest thing to start also, I just don't understand the people that can, I mean, if we go like with the frat mentality that they apparently have, I'm like, how do you drink at work?
I don't get that.
How do you allow that? Because you put drink in people's hands and their ambitions slip away. That's the
Oh
whole
yeah,
point of drinking.
right.
I
How?
love drinking. I never drink at work.
No, how the
Like,
fuck? Like, if I get a drink and I'm just gonna chill. Like, I'm not a partier and I don't really drink very often, but when I do, I'll like a Jack and Coke or something, and I'll just hang out. I start getting really giggly. I'm a giggly bitch when I'm drunk, so you know. But
it's sad that especially like this, but like no wonder why fucking their games sucked for so long because yeah, they're not gonna work because they're drunk off their ass, and then the people that are trying to do their job um can't because they're dealing with other assholes that are drunk off their ass and useless, so then they're miserable and then they don't put out good work.
right, absolutely. I, I've seen some work put through working on some construction sites with some guys that are just fucking trashed, and it's not good. It's never good. The high functioning alcoholic. It's a bullshit ass lie.
Yeah.
You may think you're working at a high capacity, but let me tell you something. No, you are not. You
I've
look like
seen
an
it
idiot.
once or twice. I really have. Um, but it's also like they're not in this party frat boy mentality. They're on their own. So there's the difference. Like you also just get a whole bunch of drunk people together doing I just don't get it.
Yeah,
So
like
I just don't understand.
how are you gonna get a game balanced and animated and new assets introduced when everybody's in a pub and everybody's drinking and wasted and like all the female workers are being fucking sexually assaulted. Like how does anything get done? Frankly,
Yeah.
it's disgusting. So I guess if anybody, we're about 5 minutes into this already, but for anybody who doesn't know, recently there was an unfortunate death due to well, frankly, it was negligence on the company's part, but this poor woman was working for Blizzard and was sent out on this company expedition, and it wasn't what you assume it would be. And she was just a lot of real bad stuff happened. She ended up committing suicide. Nude photos of her were leaked around and passed around the company, and it's just like once the public caught a hold of that, I do not know how Blizzard is still standing. I understand how many billions of dollars that they have, but it's insanity to me that they can function still. Like, how can anyone, if you're listening to this right now and you're a fan of Blizzard still, how can you fucking live with yourself? How can you look at yourself in the mirror while understanding that many people okayed what happened in that company and allowed, not only like allowed it to happen, they facilitated it happening? How can you live with yourself after that?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna be honest, like, especially because I was an avid player of WoW for many years. My brother was before me, and he was like around at the beginning when WoW first came up because he was older, and he had a group where he literally had a special carrying case for his tower so he could take his tower to the other person's house to play all day and all night. So like he taught me how to farm. Like he set me up like, "Oh, here, go kill these monsters for me." And I thought I was being super helpful and I was just farming for shit. As a kid, but it was fine. It was fun. It was all the dinosaurs. I loved the dinosaurs. The game's dead. I mean, it's been dying for a while. Their expansions have been shit for a long time. The mechanics are garbage. But I think for a lot of people, especially the like Asmongold and Priest who have been around for since the beginning that have played, they're like, this is the final straw to break the camel's back. So not many people are around. I mean, I think they're like below 200 subs now for WoW alone.
Whew.
Yeah, they dropped.
We're talking
it's
about,
not even funny.
We're talking about retail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm not a fan of World of Warcraft. I've never been a fan, but I have a lot of friends that are. And like my brother-in-law, as a matter of fact, huge fan. He canceled his subscription, which is amazing to me. And just because of how big of a fan he was. But he said the same thing that, what was the last good expansion? Fucking like Lich King.
Yeah, pretty much.
Miss the Pandera was okay, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's unfortunately that's the problem. When everybody's fucking drunk and not doing their jobs, nothing gets done. Imagine that, right? Crazy.
Yeah. So it's funny. I find it amusing, and they wonder why like people are finally pulling out and why it's been failing. And I'm like, well, I mean, your people are like telling you, but your devs ignore us and don't care and just trash us on Twitter or block us. So what do you expect? Like they're gonna find a better game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so the whole thing comes down to the fact that Activision, that Blizzard, they're just insanely abusive to women. And that's just, there's no other way to look at it. They're paid less. They're like, they get like background checks and stuff are way like more intense for them. I heard a story, this is possibly anecdotal, but I believe it's true, how a woman was less likely to receive a job because if she, quote, got pregnant, she wouldn't be able to fulfill her duties at work.
Yep. And they almost never got promoted.
No promotions, like the bosses being super creepy sexually. It's just inappropriate garbage that I don't understand how this can still happen. I don't get it. Like, this is, women have to make up like half of, at least, right? Like, I experience more girls gaming now than I ever have. Not to say that girls haven't been there since the beginning, but it's becoming more widely accepted, question mark, just more common. Like, hell, my
I feel
wife,
like we finally just broke in.
yeah,
And
like,
we're just like, hey, we like this too.
exactly. Well, that's the thing, is like my wife played games a little bit. She played more with me than like by herself, But now
Yeah.
she plays the shit out of like Genshin Impact, and she's always played Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. Her and I sit down and play Warframe, for a couple hours on end usually. And on a side note, Warframe is going to be cross-platform here pretty soon. I'm just saying. It's coming out this year, so.
Well, so's Destiny, and actually the new Destiny looks really good, and I think my husband's about to pick that up again, and I'm very excited. So
I'm
I
playing
enjoyed
it
that
again.
Well, now it's fine. Now it's on its own, and
No,
that's
it's
kind of
not
another
fine.
thing.
It's not fine. Listen, Bungie's fucked up a lot in the past. Bungie got away with the excuse somehow that, oh, well, we're not attached to Activision anymore, so all the money from the cash shop is going to fund the DLCs. And then we get a DLC, and you know what it is? Go grind bounties for this new fucking assault rifle that's the same as another assault rifle, but it just has a different paint job on it. It's fine. Just go play bounties, guys. Also, we're going to take away stuff that you purchased before.
I kind of like give them a lot of grace, especially because Activision Blizzard is known for picking up small indie companies and then fucking pumping out games that should take years for like small little companies, and they put all this love and stuff, and they're like, no, pump it out, make fucking money, and then
Yeah,
they shut them down.
that's
So, I
reasonable,
mean,
but
they got away, I feel like they from the beginning, because you could tell from what they originally promised and what we got that
ugh.
I feel like Activision really was like, no, we want you to push this out as soon as possible. You don't need to do all these extra things.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I have my perspective on this is twofold because like I get that and I totally respect that stance and that's fair. But also Bungie has of course there's a fucking airplane flying overhead. Can you hear it?
No, I can't. I think you're fine.
Good. Anyway, um, but yes, Bungie. They're very consistent on not delivering what they promised. They leave broken ass shit in the game for way too long. I'm looking directly at you, Stasis. It took like a year for that shit to get nerfed. Who enjoys popping their ult and then immediately like losing their ult? Because guess what? I had a grenade available, and you're now frozen, and you lose your ultimate. Deal with it. I don't care that you played better than me. I don't care that you got better positioning than me. Die. It throws the balance out the window. Anyway, I'm not gonna sit here and rant about Bungie right now. We're not talking about Destiny. We're talking about the fact that fucking Blizzard sucks. And
Yeah. And they kill a lot of I mean, that's literally what they done. I should pull up the list. I had it at one point. I remember watching a video, and it was like a list of just the companies they've killed, the poor indie companies, and I'm like, this is really devastating. So you're looking it up now.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just so disappointing. And like at first I was kind of frustrated. I don't think some people when this first came out understood how serious this was, because this wasn't just one or two disgruntled employees like filling out a lawsuit. This is
this is
state
thousands.
of California.
This is thousands of people as well as the state of California.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, this isn't good. So at that point, like some of it, like, you would want to give benefit of doubt, innocent until proven guilty. But at this point, I'm like, there's so much fucking smoke. There's no way there's not a fire.
There's literally
it's
smoke, considering the fact that they've been destroying evidence. Come on, we're not guilty. Here's shredding in the distance. No, we didn't do anything. Nothing's wrong.
What are you talking about?
Bzzz, that's fine. It's nothing. It's just the AC. Yeah, the AC's running.
Or when they first came out and were like, we're disappointed in how the investigators are handling the investigation because we are not aware of the proceedings. I'm like, because you're under a fucking investigation, you stupid pieces of shit. That's
we
what
should
happens.
be allowed to investigate ourselves. And then when don't get me started. Because the workers the workers are starting to try to unionize. And then Activision Blizzard's like, yeah, good on you guys. Let us hire a company to help you with that. And they hired on a fucking law firm that is literally designed to bust unions.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. All right.
I
No, that's
know.
fine.
Isn't it ridiculous?
No, it's cool. It's good. It's fine. It's fair. That's what we want. Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm definitely interested to see how it goes, but I mean, they're not really going to survive much longer, I
Hopefully
don't think.
not. It sucks. It sucks because like yeah, Activision okay. Here's the problem. So the way that like the media and stuff is headlining it, they're saying Blizzard. It's Blizzard. It's only Blizzard. Just the Blizzard team. Blizzard. 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 It's the company's Activision Blizzard. They're the same
Hmm.
entity at this point. So every person that goes out and buys the next Call of Duty, which is gonna happen, the next you spend fucking 20, 30, $40 on a skin pack for Call of Duty Warzone or whatever. Every person that buys the new goddamn Crash Bandicoot collection or the Spyro collection, you are paying for people to sexually harass women at the workplace and also paying for them to get drunk on the job and not make video games. You're paying
Yeah.
for this horrible, disgusting. You're paying any percentage of money is money given to those people specifically because that's how this works. And it makes me physically ill violently to think about that because that Call of Duty Vanguard is going to come out this year, probably in November, the way it always comes out, and it's going to be bought out by millions and millions of people, and they're going to make fuck tons of money. So Activision Blizzard isn't going anywhere, but the rot is so deeply ingrained into the company as a whole. I'm genuinely concerned about the future of like many of these large games.
Hmm.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I know a lot of friends that I've got a lot of friends that really put their heart and soul into World of Warcraft. They've got thousands and thousands of hours in this game. It's a game that they grew up playing, and come to find out that like your heroes, these people that have made a thing that you've enjoyed for many many years, they're horrible, awful, disgusting people that cause pain and suffering, and that's just a really sobering thing to deal with.
Yeah. Well, just like knowing when I first met my husband, we played games together and I was like back and forth playing on WoW by myself, and then he like started to play with me, and I mean the amount of time together we dumped into that game as
Mm-hmm.
something to do is sad. The amount of hours I spent farming for fucking mounts also is sad.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's
pets.
not. It's not sad. You spent your time how you wanted to spend it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? Is we do have to understand that the people that make these things are human.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, on the one hand, you can there. Okay, there's a phenomenon, um, where you have to separate the art from the artist,
Yeah.
um, to a degree. Reg- regardless of how like garbage a lot of musicians are, we still listen to their music. We still love their music. Um, and I suppose the same thing with video games. But the problem is that we can't allow stuff like this. We can't allow, as consumers, terrible uh, environment that is just permeating this company. And it's not just this company. It's many, many, many companies that are exactly the same way, if not worse. The only reason we know about how bad this is that the spotlight is on them.
Yeah.
So we don't know how bad this gets. It could get worse in the next couple weeks when more information comes out. Hell, they could have already destroyed documents talking about how bad shit was.
Maybe this all needs to crumble, especially on just that gaming aspect. Like everything needs to crumble, fall apart. People that actually love and care. are gonna come and slowly put it back together. And maybe we'll actually have a good game several years from now. But who knows? Because I
Uh-huh.
mean, this definitely, I feel like, obviously, it hit WoW the hardest. So, because it
Right.
is
Because
Blizzard.
I believe it was centered around specifically the devs of World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Um which is, like I said, it's horrendously disappointing. As of right now of this recording, uh, August 31st, 2021, the most recent update to this story, I believe, is the alleged shredding of documents.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure more is going to come out as time progresses. We can certainly try to cover this as well as we can because I feel like we sort of have a duty, you know. Um,
Yeah.
this podcast isn't very large. Maybe one day it might be, but any one person that watches this and sort of gets more information out of it, uh, hopefully it helps. You know, at least to archive this. You know, so we
Mm-hmm.
can look back on it because this is important. This is a big deal. You know, um, women's rights in America is, you know, in our current age, you assume women have all the same exact rights as men do. And while that may technically be true, in practice, it's much more complicated than that, unfortunately. And when it comes down to it, we as Americans, not as Americans, as people, as humans, have a job to do and to ensure that there isn't this horrible oppressiveness. You know, no woman, no person really, but no woman should ever, you know, like imagine growing up and saying, "Man, I love this company. They made Diablo 1 and 2 and they made all the Warcraft games. I love them and I want to go work for them and it is my dream." And then you get hired on, you're like, "Finally my dream job. This is going to be great." And then you get in there and your boss is really drunk and starts feeling you up and says you're fired if you say anything.
Isn't that heartbreaking too?
That
And it just,
it hurts. Like it genuinely hurts.
and I heard this when it first came out, and I was like, just so disappointed because I'm like, haven't we, like, just as humans, haven't we been getting better? And I feel like whenever you have that moment, like, oh, we're doing all this good, like, good things and we're making progress. And then something like this happens, and it's like taking not even two steps back at this point. It's like five,
Yeah. Yeah.
10, and you're just like, okay, let me start all over again.
It feels like some dumb shit that you'd hear about your like great grandparents talking about
Mm-hmm.
over a water cooler in the 50s or something. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like it feels so just ancient to imagine men treating a woman or well women plural anybody treating anyone like this in a professional workplace. It's crazy to me, and it's unfortunate that it happens.
Well, like, too, let's be honest, not obviously, not every man on planet Earth is trash. So there are
No,
probably
no,
just as
absolutely
many
not.
good people in this company, but then
Sure.
they're like, what are they supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
at that point? Because sadly, most of these people need, I mean, you need your job, you need to make money,
Right.
you need to support your family. I mean, half of these people probably got the dream job and left their original, state, their home to go to California or wherever they had to go.
Right.
So it's just like then you're trapped and then that stress on both. Ugh, I couldn't imagine.
No, and like I said, it like it physically makes me ill to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
and you know to know that I have a mother, I have sisters. I don't have a daughter, but imagine, oh my god, I can't imagine like adult people allowing this. I mean, I suppose maybe I'm kind of jaded, um, but it feels like fucking Saturday morning cartoon villains work at that
I
fucking
know.
place. Like Skeletor wouldn't even sexually assault anybody. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's definitely very disappointing. And then like when this first came out and then Blizzard was like, you know, made that comment about the victim that took her own life and was like, I can't believe they're doing this to her family. I'm like, first of
Yes.
all, you have no right to talk about her family. Second of all, do you honestly think they're okay pushing this under the rug if they figure out this is what's happening? You really don't think they want justice for their daughter, for their sister? You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I
Whatever you
mean,
say.
I can't speak for anybody else, but if that was my family member, I would have literally physically burnt their their office to the ground.
Yeah.
Because that's horrible. To cause a woman to commit suicide because she's treated so poorly at work. At work.
Yep.
The-
And to
be-
feel so trapped that you can't leave.
right, because at the end of the day, that's what it's just work. That's what it's supposed to be. Hell, it's a passion for a lot of people, artists, and
Mm-hmm.
like I said, the artists and the writers and the animators and stuff. It's a passion of theirs to create video games, to create worlds, and just all these things, and to cause someone to take their own life, and then to allow the company to fucking prance around with her nudes. It's just there are so many layers to how fucking awful this is. And
Well, the picture that leaked about them in their Cosby suite. I mean, if that's not disgusting enough and
how,
vile enough, and the stupid story they came up for that was ridiculous. And I'm like, you're vile people.
yeah, I mean, the thing is they everyone talks about the
I've just always heard frat boy.
frat boy, yeah, the frat boy
Oh,
mentality.
okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which I feel bad for frat boys because I feel like most frat boys are like, this is not our mentality. We just like to get drunk and have
Yeah,
fun with our like
we're college
frat boys
kids get
friends.
partying. Like, what the fuck? Like
So, I mean,
the
obviously there's issues in that too, but like
right,
I feel bad because
absolutely
there's a lot of people out there that are like, hey, I'm not fucking garbage. Like,
right.
don't
You can't.
rat me in with this.
At the end of the day, like, drink if you want. I don't give a shit as long as you're not hurting anyone else. You have the ability to hurt yourself, but don't. You know.
Hmm.
But and that's it too. Is this frat boy mentality of I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna get drunk, I'm gonna fuck with women all day long. We're gonna lock them in a room and they don't get to come out until they take their shirts off. They're gonna give me their phone numbers. It's like, dude, make my video game. What's wrong? You being a creep, go to prison. But everybody else, what the fuck what's happening? Like, how? I just don't understand how this how this could have come about, how it can exist, how it got
It's
to
just
be as
like
bad as it is.
how many because there's always, when you look at some serial killers where like you actually have the couples or you have, people that come together that are just as terrible. It's like, how do you get this many terrible people
I
in
don't
one, like, especially a company? Like, how do you get that many awful people
know.
in
Right.
one? Like, I kind of am, sadly, kind of amazing in a way. Like, oh,
Yeah. It's a fucking breeding ground for filth.
that's how we are too sometimes as humans. Like, oh, everyone else says it's okay, so it's okay. I'll do it too, even
Mm-hmm.
though we're adults. I'm
And
sorry if anyone can hear, but my husband's making noise in the background, so I apologize.
it's fine. I'm scooting around on this fucking piece of shit chair and you can hear it every now and then. It's terrible. I gotta get a new one. Anyway, no, you're good.
Okay.
But yeah, and I think the worst part, one of the worst parts, Jason Schreier posted some statements and stuff like that. But Activision Blizzard had when all this stuff started to come out, they were talking about how it just wasn't true, and I quote, distorted and in many cases false descriptions of Activision Blizzard's past. a distorted and untrue picture of our company, including factually incorrect, old, and out of context stories, some from more than a month ago. A month ago? That's not very long.
No.
And in any case, it's
Even years ago,
hilarious. Yeah.
I feel like any company, like an old CEO is a vile, awful monster. Fine, you handle it. And honestly, you come out with a statement and you apologize and you say, we're going to be better now. This person's like, just own up and then prove that you can fix your mistakes and be better, which
Yeah.
they're clearly not going to do until, they're officially
Until
taken to court and the verdict is decided.
there are like mass layoffs and people are arrested for the horrible things that they've done and not just fired. Honestly, like oops, you quit or oh, you got fired is not enough. It's not. Not
Right.
at this point. Not the amount of pain and suffering that's been caused. There will be blood.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
It's just
Well, so it's, yeah, but I do gotta say, I feel like overall the WoW community has really stepped up
oh
as a
yeah.
player base and is like, we're not gonna put up with this shit. So that's
Hmm.
nice, at least because I was like, oh, when I first heard this before I really got a chance to like even just get on YouTube and see what the reactions were, I was like, well, this is gonna be a bloodbath. And so far, actually, I feel like there's barely any people that are backing Blizzard at this point at all, even from the beginning. I was like, well, that's refreshing
Yeah.
and is a
Yeah.
little bit more faith in humanity, restores it a bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is as a crew, as a group, you have to stick together. You have to work together to make sure that shit like this doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like for instance, at our previous job, um, if there was wrongdoings, we as an entire group would get together and root it out. We would go talk to the
Mm-hmm.
boss. I know for a fact that's how stuff would go down. That's just how it works. You know, in a good group. But
Yes.
the problem is these people have, again, they have their dream job. They don't want to lose it. Pulled out of your element. It's probably more appropriate. Um, to work at this company, and nobody wants to lose their livelihood. But
No.
if you don't band together to make sure shit like this doesn't happen in the first place, you're just allowing it, and
Yeah.
that can't happen. It just can't.
Well, it's definitely because nothing near this extreme, but I was at a company in my younger years and I had a customer who at first was just a regular customer. He was an older gentleman. Everything was great. And slowly but surely, it started to get pretty uncomfortable. He would make weird comments. He'd be he was a stalker. He was very stalkerish.
Mm.
Like, I memorized his car. My crew that I had work under me memorized his car. And I would run to the back and hide until he was gone. It got that bad. Like, I was always hyper aware, never almost got caught off guard at that point. And I had a boss, and I'm like, this is very uncomfortable. This is not okay. Other
Right.
like employees are agreeing. Nothing happened. And then, I mean, for a long time, for about like 9 months. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, this is super uncomfortable. I'm not enjoying this. I thought about quitting. And then the big boss that you like never see comes in. And I just kind of walked up to him. And this is what should have happened. I barely even got like 5 words out. I was like, hey, so and so. So I have this problem. I have this customer. He's very creepy. He makes me uncomfortable. He like cut me off, asked for his name, who he was. He sat around in that store for 3 days until he popped up again and asked them to never come back. So like that's what should have happened at Blizzard. That's what should have happened for me at the beginning.
Yeah.
So like why isn't that happening? I just especially in that mass scale, like how could you let this slide? It's very upsetting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that you're right. But the problem with this company, clearly, is that if you went to your big boss, they would tell you to shut
It's
the
all
hell up.
poison. And that's what it was, because then the one that was under him was like, came acting all innocent. They're like, you could have came to me. And I'm like, I did for 9 months. You did nothing.
Right.
So I think that was a little bit of a rift. And then I left shortly after, not because of that though, at all. Because I mean, I had a good working relationship with him otherwise, but that was definitely one thing. I'm like, you definitely failed me there, man. I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
But
absolutely. That's inexcusable.
yeah,
Any boss that does not go out of their way to ensure the health and safety of their workers is that's not a leader. That's a fucking waste of time. Go get
yeah.
another job. You know, don't be in. And that's the thing too is these women they went to
It went
like
to HR.
HR.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what HR is supposed to be. I mean, and it breaks my heart to know like I got resolution. These people haven't, and I'm just devastated for them. I can't even imagine. So,
Yeah.
it's just I really do kind of hope that Blizzard just gets kind of burnt to the ground. And
Yeah.
then she's ever has the courage to go, that's a decent human to like rifle through the carnage and pull out the good pieces. How little few they are at this point and try to make something out of it. Ugh.
Yeah, well that's the thing. And I said this earlier. There are so many fucking talented people at Blizzard. It's amazing. Like the games that they've put together, the soundtracks, the art, the animation, like they're good. They're good at what they do. You cannot argue that. Um but if they need to they need to unionize. They need to get away from that fucking toxic big company um just what do you call that? Just that.
Corporate
Um,
corporate trash.
well, yeah, it's just that. But get away from that sort of social system where you're afraid to tell your boss's boss or your boss's boss's boss or HR, fucking HR, that you have a problem. You shouldn't be afraid to go to a higher like listen, if somebody's breaking the fucking rules, call OSHA. If somebody is harassing you, get a goddamn lawyer and talk to your boss. Don't be afraid to do those things because there is nothing worth your mental and physical health. No job is worth it.
And I think that's the biggest thing. And that's the problem of it all for these giant companies is as just the people we feel like we don't have that power and we live with it and we
Mm-hmm.
just grind our teeth and like there's nothing else I can do. Like I need this job. I need to put food on the table. And the fact that like these companies are abusing that on every scale, it does. And that's where we need to start speaking out about everything. If it's from we don't have proper band-aids and bird cream
Mm-hmm.
at our place to harassment or just inappropriate comments in general or just anything.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So
No, I totally agree with you. Yeah, and not having a good HR, not having bosses that'll work with you on that is the same thing as walking into your break room and not having like medical supplies. It's the same thing. It's just the
which I've
difference.
had both. I've had where I've had phenomenal, little med kits that had everything you could possibly desire. And then
Mm-hmm.
I've had it where, as management, I had to go buy band aids
Right.
because we didn't have band aids. And I had someone that, needed a band aid.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
it's
twofold.
just,
If a company doesn't put the money and time into giving a shit about your physical or mental health, then what the fuck are they worth? They're not worth anything. Because if they view you as that easily replaceable that you don't matter, that that you can't go for help when something bad happens, then that company does not deserve to be they don't deserve to exist. They just don't.
well, like, I think that's a good way to explain, especially like for this, and use an example of WoW in general, is WoW's had an awful issue with bots now
Mm.
for a long time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I feel like when a company doesn't care and they just want money, well, my biggest issue is being able to pay real money to level up your character, to 60, or now I think you can level it up to 120. So these people buy the level up, have these bots, so now they don't have to level these bots up, which takes a lot of time, and then they turn around and they harvest all this gold and grind, and then they turn around and they can sell it to people for actual money.
Or
So
give
like
it to
there's this
themselves.
yeah, so it's like there's this whole issues with bots, and I'm like, but they don't care. They don't want to fix it. And the
Mm-hmm.
biggest reason why is because they don't want to get rid of the pay $60 and level up your character to 60 or 120. I'm pretty sure it's 120 now.
Yeah,
Or 110 actually, I think 120.
it's funny you say that because Destiny also has that. You can
Yeah.
pay to level your character up all the way, which is fucking asinine. If you're listen, if you have to spend money to not play swaths of the game, you are playing the wrong game. If you have to
Yeah.
shortcut your way through a fucking game, why are you playing it?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing because I mean, I was a sucker just because, like I joked earlier, I like mounts. I like pets. I like all that stupid crap in games. So, like, yeah, I would every once in a while have some extra money and be like, yeah, I'll blow $20 on this cool mount in the in-game store. But, like, there shouldn't be in-game stores.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for weak-hearted people like me, there really should be in-game stores.
Yeah, I
And when you
mean,
actually have to the point where it's like, oh, level up this character to max or get this gear or like here's progression for the game, you shouldn't have to pay extra to advance in a game once you already.
right. I agree with that.
So, I mean, I guess I'm fine with cosmetics, but yeah.
And look, I've spent an obscene amount of money on like Warframe,
Hmm.
um, but mainly because I value them as because they usually treat their people right. They treat their customers right. They and I feel like they deserve it. You know what I mean? Like they're a tiny little um like 100-person crew, and they're so that's one thing, and I'm not gonna defend it. Like, spend money on what you want to spend,
Hmm.
um which is, you do you, but it's just it's terrible. I've lost my trail of thought. I'm all over the place right now.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess I'll turn it to more like I'm interested because I'm playing it now,
Mm.
but I'm interested to see if Final Fantasy is going to keep doing as well as it is, or if that will slowly dwindle. But at this point, I actually don't think it will.
No, I
Because
don't.
it's
I agree with
WoW
you,
should be.
because I've heard a lot that a lot of people are going over to that
Hmm.
MMO, and it's cool because that game kind of sucked when it came out.
Yes, it did.
From everyone I've ever spoken to, the game was ass, and it was so bad that to reboot everything, they had to cause a fucking in-game apocalypse to restart everything.
Yes.
Genius, very smart. I love it. The lore is great, but um, but they've come so far from that,
And it's
and
great.
it's great, exactly. So, if anybody watches this, the takeaway, please just go play Final Fantasy.
They deserve it.
Yeah,
I mean, the overhaul they did on that game.
14,
And
right?
I'm only still in, yes, 14. I'm still only in the first technical game. Um, but I've been enjoying it a lot, and I feel like the story's just better. The characters are great. I mean, I personally like the graphics better. I've always kind of been annoyed with WoW because, like, yeah, their cutscenes are okay.
Looks like a
Don't get
PS2
they're
game.
good, but like the fact that you can still see the texture of just a crappy plant put on really crappy grass.
It looks like a
You know what I'm
PS2
saying?
game.
Like you can see like the creases of the plant.
It
It just looks
looks
like a
like a
cutout.
PlayStation 2 game.
Yeah.
The textures do not
So,
match the models. And they stretch like, like we've gotten
yeah.
away from. I feel like we've moved on past like moldy like metal armor that just like fucking squashes and stretches. I feel like,
Hmm.
like, I mean, obviously games like Skyrim and shit, just, it's not feasible for every game. Whatever, that's
Right.
fine. But I do feel like Blizzard just cannot. I don't know, man. WoW is fine, but it's. I think it's done. Maybe for the
Yeah,
better.
I don't see it happening.
No.
It's just, especially like when you officially have the big players that have been around since the beginning leaving, you know you're done.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People who've been
And
through
they're
thick and
done.
thin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Asmongold, Preach, like
Mm-hmm.
they're done. There's several. I mean, not all of them are going to Final Fantasy, but a lot of them are just like right now they're just,
Getting
we
away
have
from World of
projects
Warcraft.
coming up. Yeah. We'll let you know.
That's the important bit. That's what's
Mhm.
important. So. All right. Well, again, I will. I'll say that we'll try to cover this. If anything else comes out, we might throw up a quick video, sort of covering it. But as of right now, that's the story with Activision Blizzard. Hopefully, the next time we make a video, it's just, yep, the whole company got tore apart. All the wonderful people that work there got unionized. All the shitty people got thrown into jail. Life will go on. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, this is the real world, and I'm kind of worried about what's going to happen next.
Agreed.
God, that was depressing.
I know.